La Observatory, Chile, 2009. Astronomers identify a potentially habitable planet orbiting the star Gliese 667c. It's a large Earth-like planet located firmly in the Goldilocks zone. While evidence of life has yet to be discovered, scientists are able to speculate as to how life on this planet would evolve.
When we imagine life on other planets, we have to imagine that the environment on those planets will determine what the creature may look like.
In considering planets larger than Earth, the increased gravity will likely result in shorter, complex life forms. This results in a more stable life form and protects against falls. So life forms on larger planets would likely be smaller than those on smaller planets.
Like Earth, a major evolutionary force on the planet is the strength of its sun.
Gliese 667c is a red dwarf star, an M star, that's about 1.4% as bright as our sun. Because M dwarf stars are much smaller than our sun, they're much cooler and they give off a lot less light. Because the star gives out such low light compared to our sun, any life on those planets would look much different.
Let's assume for the sake of argument that there is life on Gliese 667c. Such life would be living in kind of eternal darkness. In order for life forms on a planet like that to see, they'd be like owls on planet Earth. They would have very, very large eyes to capture as much light as possible.
They are going to develop eyes that are perhaps more like insects' eyes, where you're seeing different light spectrums and heat signatures. Something completely different than the way we see.
For ancient astronaut theorists, these descriptions share a curious similarity to accounts reported by alleged alien abductees.
Alien abductees give very consistent accounts of some of the types of aliens they see. The most consistent account is 4 feet, short, gray, big-headed, big-eyed aliens. And this would fit what we might expect with gravity so intense that you couldn't grow to 6 feet.
Short, gray aliens with large black eyes? Is it possible that the habitable planet orbiting Gliese 667c is the homeworld of the beings known in the UFO community as the Greys? As far as ancient astronaut theorists are concerned, the planet orbiting Gliese 667c is just one of a number of recently discovered worlds that could represent places of origin for extraterrestrials encountered both in modern times and in the distant past. The Cydonia region of Mars, July 20th, 1976. An alien spacecraft sent from Earth touches down on the red planet.
Nav is green for touchdown.
After a 10-month journey, Viking 1 has reached its destination.
Touchdown, we have touchdown.
To NASA scientists, it's a momentous event. For the first time in its history, the United States has a probe on another planet.
Viking was the first spacecraft to actually attempt a soft landing on Mars and give us an actual feel, a taste for what the conditions were on the surface. We looked out at those pictures of the surface, and they looked so much like the Pacific deserts here, like Death Valley. We all half expected to see a miner in his burrow come walking up over the nearest rise.
Scientists knew that finding definitive signs of life on Mars was a long shot. But when the Viking lander performed 4 tests on the Martian soil, looking for microbial life, it returned surprising and controversial results. Dr. Gil Levin designed one of the tests that the Viking probe performed.
Microorganisms breathe, just like you or I or anything else, and then they give off carbon dioxide. So we got a tiny sample, a thimbleful of the soil, put into a little container. It was monitored for 7 days continuously to see if there are any bubbles forming in the tube. Surprisingly, the test came up positive for life by the criteria that had been approved by NASA.
However, the result of another important test, one looking for organic matter on the Martian surface, was negative. But Dr. Levin says the other test wasn't nearly as sensitive as his experiment. It needed 3 million bacteria in a thimbleful of Martian soil to find signs of life, while Dr. Levin's test only required 30 bacteria.
So there was a vast discrepancy in the sensitivity of the two experiments. And I immediately said, well, you know, they both could be right. We detected life, but maybe there aren't enough bacteria per unit of soil for the organic analysis instrument to find. But NASA was very cautious, and they opted to say, no organic matter, there goes the ball game, no life.
Geneva, Switzerland, October 8th, 2019. Astronomers Michel Mayor and Didier Queloz are awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for discovering the first exoplanet in 1992. In the years since, more than 4,000 have been examined and categorized, and more are being found every day.
Let's do a science experiment tonight. Go outside, look up, and see all the thousands of stars you see. Every single one, on average, has a planet going around them. And about 1 in 20 has an Earth-like planet. And so when you look at the stars tonight, realize that somebody could be looking back at you from outer space.
In 2021, NASA will launch the James Webb Space Telescope, a satellite that can do something once thought impossible: take detailed color images of an exoplanet.
The James Webb Space Telescope is a different type of telescope than we've had in space before. It will give us the ability to look at the reflected light from exoplanets in the infrared part of the spectrum and to search for the potential for biology being present.
But when we look upon the images of other worlds, and possibly even the beings that inhabit them, what will we find?
I think that what's really lying in store for humanity now is that we will prove that there are these exoplanets out there, that they have life, and quite possibly intelligent life capable of coming to our solar system. This will cause a sea change all over the world, within scientific communities and within the religious communities too.
If astronomers discover exoplanets with intelligent alien life forms, will they appear eerily familiar? Could they find amphibious humanoid beings, like the gods depicted in ancient times? Small gray aliens, like those reported by alleged abductees? And is it possible that some visitors, perhaps coming from worlds very similar to Earth, might look remarkably like us?
Within established ancient astronaut theory, it's generally thought that these extraterrestrial beings coming from outside of our solar system were interacting with our society, and they were manipulating our DNA and, in a sense, creating people on this planet, us, who look like them and are similar to them.
As we discover more and more exoplanets, the implications for humanity are enormous. I think it's very possible that we're on the verge of discovering our home planet, the place of our origins.
The big revelation will not be, do they look like us, but we look like them, because we are their offspring.
Cape Canaveral, Florida, August 20th, 1975.
Ignition, we have liftoff.
The United States launches a Titan rocket carrying the Viking spacecraft. Viking is embarking on a 420 million mile journey to one of the most prominent sights in the night sky, Mars. If all goes well, in 11 months, the unmanned probe will touch down on the Martian surface and search for evidence of life. Mainstream scientists say Mars is most likely a dead planet because of its incredible temperature swings and high levels of solar radiation. So why is NASA spending $1 billion to explore it?
The night sky is an astounding thing. To the naked eye, the red planet could be seen with its special colors. After all, it's the biggest thing you see up there past the moon. So it's been a special object of fascination and reverence because religious systems often were associated with the planets and the stars, the sky in general. Speculations about what's there, is intelligent life there, or the gods there, that's gone on for a long time.
Our dream for life on Mars probably goes back even to the ancient times when we were just doing naked eye observation. It's the planet that really stands out, that we now know is very close to Earth in terms of physical conditions. Even though Venus is much more like Earth in size and gravity, it's a hellhole in the solar system. But Mars is out there within our grasp.
Among the first to record this fiery red ball in the night sky were ancient Egyptian astronomers. In 1534 BC, they placed Mars on humanity's first chart of the known cosmos, the Cenobite star map. 2.5 centuries later, the Egyptians painted the planet Mars on the ceiling of the tomb of Seti I. But while the Egyptians honored Mars, many other ancient cultures feared it because they associated the red planet with death, destruction, and war. According to some anthropologists, this is because the planet glows red, like the color of blood, spilled on the battlefield.
The association of the red planet with the gods of war goes way back. In ancient Babylon, Mars was named after Nergal, the god of fire, death, and destruction, essentially a god of war. The Greeks named Mars after Ares, their god of war. The Romans, Mars, that is their god of war. Rome was a warrior culture. So this martial emphasis, all connected to the red planet, is accounting for the great armies that conquered the known world, a very successful story, and very much aligned with the planet Mars.